Am I looking perfect? Am I dressed perfectly? Am I standing perfectly? Am I speaking perfectly? Is my hair perfect? Is my posture perfect? If my answer to any of these questions is no, and if I am a perfectionist, probably I may not ever start. Can I ever start if I chase perfection? No, because perfection is a myth. Perfection is based on some unrealistic, unnatural assumptions about absolute absence of errors, mistakes, flaws. Friends, perfection is an enemy of creativity. And let me illustrate you this with an example from a pottery class. A teacher divided his class into a group of 2. To the first group, he advised them to make one perfect pot. And to the second group, he advised them to make as many pots as possible. The first group was struggling to find what is it that makes a perfect pot. Each one's idea of perfect pot was different from each other. They ended up becoming unhappy, disgruntled, grumpy, while the other group was happy making pot after pot. They kept making pots and in the process kept refining it. And by the end of the semester, they ended up making many beautiful pots. Obviously, perfection was the enemy of creativity because it was a myth. It was a mirage. It was an illusion which was simply unattainable. In today's time, we are constantly bombarded with perfect portrayals of perfect bodies, perfect humans, perfect interpersonal relationships in social media, in celebrity culture, in advertising models, the 36, 28, 36 perfect figures. The Instagram filters, the fillers, the Botox, the cosmetic surgeries, everything trying to propagate that perfect humans, perfect lives, perfect achievements, perfect success exist, perfect relationships exist, that they are the norm. Let me tell you, a person who is plagued with perfectionism is actually never happy with his or her family, his or her career, his or her friends, colleagues, spouse, children, parents, sibling, and most importantly, that person is never happy with his or her life. And the end result is that that person gets deep sense of disgust about his existence, her existence, anxiety, depression, and even suicidal tendencies. Then why develop the disease of perfection? Does nature approve of perfection? If nature, God, evolution approved of perfection, no 2 fingerprints would have been different. No 2 snowflakes would have been different. No 2 leaves, no 2 plants, no 2 trees, no 2 mountains, rivers, volcanoes, and valleys would have been different. Obviously, nature, God, evolution, allows us to evolve and grow through imperfections, through experiments. हर एक चीज़ से पैदा खुदा की कुदरत है, कोई बड़ा, कोई छोटा, सब उसी की नेमत है. I am an IAS officer, have been working in Indian Administrative Service for past 12 years, in very hectic profiles. I am also a mother of 2 boys, one 14-year-old teenage boy and another 5-year-old child. Obviously, my hands are full. Everybody would assume my life to be of a very overwhelmed, overbusy mom, working mom. But I try to find out time for my passions, my hobbies, which is painting and writing. I try to find that little bit of time that I get, I paint, I finish, and I have done some shows in Mumbai and Ahmedabad. If I was obsessed with perfection, probably I would not have been able to make one single painting. But I am okay the moment the composition of my painting achieves a good enough stage, a satisfying stage, and I'm ready to show it. If I were chasing perfection, not even a single painting can be made because I don't have that much time to make a perfect painting. Let me illustrate one more example from my personal life. I was 10 years old when my first poem got published in a Hindi magazine, children's magazine called Bal Hans. The poem goes like this. मैं हूँ परियों की शहजादी, मुझको प्यारी आज़ादी, जहाँ भी जाऊँ फूल खिला दूँ रहती हरदम मुस्काती. This poem further narrates, मैंने एक दिन धरती पर जाने की ठानी, मेरी सभी सहेलियों ने बात फटाफट मानी. And after I narrate the beauty of nature, the butterflies, the flowers, the trees, the mountains, valleys, and conclude the poem saying, धरती की सारी बगिया में खेली मैं तो चारों ओर, पता चला न मुझको सचमुच हो गई थी भोर. देख अंधेरा बहुत ही मैं घबराती, मैं हूँ परियों की शहजादी. Now this was not a perfect poem. After all, my pari was all okay, traveling, walking, strolling in the nature of earth, and got scared when it was the time of bhor, dawn, advent of light. Because the 10-year-old me did not have much idea of a perfect, meaningful, composed poem. And because my parents did not judge me on that poem, and they decided to send it to Balhans. And because there was some editor who really did not bother much about a perfectly meaningful composition, he published it. And that one publication changed the course of a life of a girl born in 1984 in Kathauti village of Nagaur, Rajasthan. I could change the societally rigid circumstances of my upbringing only because that imperfect poem brought an imperfect change in the course of my life. My education from the government-run Hindi medium schools of villages and towns in Nagaur district has been far from perfect. And thank God it was not perfect. Had it been perfect, I would have never dared to challenge the societal obligations of an early marriage. Thank God it was not perfect, and I decided to take a different path. Let me narrate you one more incident from my early life. I was in class 10th standard, and an SUPW project was given to all the students. The students were divided into different groups. It was a national integration project. I was made the group leader of Punjab. So there were many activities, the cultural programs, the singing, dancing, cuisine. In the concluding day of the program, the leader of the state would have to speak on the experience that the students had gone through, and also about the art, culture, and history of that state. Now, the mere idea of speaking before an audience, holding a mic, this was a government girls' school in an old Haveli of Ladnu. And the mere idea that I have to speak before an audience sent chills down my nerves. I just could not tolerate when the first girl group leader was speaking from Tamil Nadu. I decided to go to washroom. The voice was coming there also. My hands started trembling, legs started trembling. I went, took the route to the terrace. From the narrow staircase, went up the terrace, hid myself in one remote corner, tried to put hands on my ears. I did not want to listen to the sound coming from that event, but it kept coming. And ultimately, the announcement of Punjab leader Nidhi Choudhari, once, twice, thrice. Every time my name was being announced, my heart would beat so fast, and my brain would blast. I was in complete grip of panic attack. This happened in 1998. My father learned about it. He got to know that I hosted an event because of fear of public speaking. And as we all know, that fear of public speaking is said to be worse than fear of dying. And I experienced it that day. My father advised the teachers to keep proposing my name in similar events. So I ghosted in a few more. I went blank in some after holding the mic. I got frozen midway in some more. Until 2001, when I won my first debate in a state-level Hindi debate competition and secured first rank. Was my win perfect? Have I not failed after 2001? No. Neither success nor failure is permanent. And it is okay to have imperfect wins and imperfect failures. Even after 2000, when I would fail, win, get frozen midway. It can happen today also. And this kept happening. I failed again, failed better every time, till 2004-05, when I was doing my master's from University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. And at that point of time, something suddenly changed. I won 17 debates consecutively, one after another. First, second, third, and from fourth onwards, the other participant who would be there in the event would start assuming that Nidhi and her team will get certainly some rank. And let me tell you, friends, when life goes linear, even when it is upwards, it only means that our growth is plateauing. There is no fun, there is no thrill, there is no excitement in a linear growth. I am thankful that I failed in the 18th debate. And I decided to focus more on my master's degree. When I joined for master's in English literature from Didwana, I was the first girl from my entire family to ever move away from family. And Jaipur was like a big ocean for me. I have studied from small villages and towns. Jaipur was like an ocean. When my name was shortlisted in the third and final list, by the time the groups were formed, I saw myself a perfect misfit, absolutely imperfect amongst the batch of 2003-05 of English department. The boys and girls were fluent in speaking English. They were smarter, better, fitter than me in every single sense. This was precisely the reason I was taking part in Hindi debates, just to avoid attending classes. But after the debates would get over, I would go to library, sit quietly and silently, focus on studies. When the results were declared in 2005, I secured first rank in the entire University of Rajasthan with English literature. This was the invisible, silent, quiet backbencher of 2003-05 batch. I still do not have a single acquaintance from that batch of mine. Leave aside friendship, because I found myself to be the most imperfect one amongst them. This was the same time when I was winning debate after debate. Life can throw contrasting experiences. You can be great in your career, at the same time you can be going through the roughest phase in your personal life. Life will be throwing this. Embrace and accept. When I started preparing for competitive examinations, I got selected in some. I failed in many. I failed in the tax assistant exam of income tax department in the final stage. I failed in the CPO officers, the Central Police Officers exam in the physical test. I failed in the JNU entrance exam test. But then, if I was chasing perfection, I would never be writing any other examination because of fear of failure. I wrote SSC examination, I cleared it. I wrote RBI officers examination, I cleared that too. I wrote UPSC in my first pregnancy, and I cleared that too. But if I would have been chasing a myth of perfection, that would not have allowed me to try, to strive, to drive, to thrive, and to keep embracing my mistakes and failures and to keep moving towards the success. Today's generation is over engrossed with some kind of an idea of a perfect image, a perfect body, a perfect success, a perfect relationship. Can it exist? No. There is nothing called perfection. Let me illustrate the idea that when we assume that this is perfection, this may not actually be perfection for you. And let me illustrate this with an example from my own life. The year 2006. I was called for interview in RBI Delhi. I took an overnight bus from Jaipur and got down at ISBT Delhi early morning. By that time, the beige color cotton salwar kameez that I was wearing was all crushed. I reached RBI Delhi building, the building with the two huge statues of Yaksha and Yakshini, the beautiful grand building. The guard did not allow me to enter, because I had reached much early than the reporting time. I sit near a mazar which still exists near the Central Secretariat metro station, kept praying for myself for a good interview. Only faith could have helped me. I was appearing in RBI interview with Hindi medium, and I did not have any background in economics, finance, accountancy, management, with which most of the successful candidates come from. When I reached the waiting room, the girls were draped in beautiful tussar silk sarees. The boys were in corporate suits and ties. They were speaking fluent English. They were talking about their success in bank PO examination. They were perfect for the central bank of the country. I was imperfect. I was not properly dressed. I was not aptly qualified also. When the interview is taken, the board is chaired by an ex-chairperson of a very big public sector bank. The board finds difficulty in asking questions in Hindi to me. Midway through, the chairperson advises me to answer the remaining questions in English. Because, ironically enough, I had mentioned in my biodata that I am the topper of the University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, with English literature. Now, this irony of my life that I am the topper of English literature. I am really good at literary understanding of English, but I am no good in reading economics and finance, the RBI exam-related content in English. I am no good. I cannot give my interview in English. This was my own irony. This was so subjective, so personal, so mine, inexplicable to the interview board. So the remaining questions I answer in English. I don't know what is mudrasfiti, ausfiti, avmulyan, adhimulyan, maudrik niti, rajkoshiya niti, nijikaran, udarikaran, and vaishvikaran in English and vice versa. So my interview finally concluded on a laughing note. The board chairperson told me that with my Hindi, I may not be able to survive if I am posted in RBI Chennai. I was devastated. I had tasted failure in the tax assistant exam, in the CPO exam, GNU exam, and this was a bad, imperfect interview as per me. But a while later, the results of SSC exam came. I cleared it. Results of RBI came. I secured 5th rank in RBI. And I got highest marks in interview. Friends, it is not how you look. It is not how you are dressed. It is many times not how you speak, what you speak, but how authentic as an individual you are. If on that day I was also as perfectly dressed as the other interviewees, probably I would have never been selected in the RBI. Today, I own all my imperfections. I don't find myself misfit anywhere. My little brittle imperfections I embrace with all my heart. I know that I'm not the perfect officer. Otherwise, why would I be transferred every 15, 18 months? I am not a perfect wife, else I be fighting with my husband on small and big issues every now and then after 16 years of marriage. I am not a perfect mom, else why would I forget sending my younger one to play dates and to check the homework of my elder one, who is in 10th standard now. I'm not a perfect woman. My hair are graying. I have dark circles, have pimples, wrinkles, moles, and pores. But it's okay. The sun and moon too have to go through eclipses. Who are you and I to aim for perfection? I am trying to be better every day. I'm a work in progress. I fail, I fall, I falter. I weep, I scream, I cry, but I try. I try to be better every single day. Because I am an Indian. And no other culture teaches you the beauty of multifaceted realities than the culture of India. We are a land of 300 Ramayanas. We are a land that believes in the existence of 33 crores of gods and goddesses. We do not believe in one perfect idea of God. We do not believe in one perfect idea of life. Friends, today is also the birth date of one person, 20th April. This person believed in the perfect race. He took and led the world towards the World War II. Because of him, so many people were massacred that if today you and I decide to stay quiet for one moment, we would have to stay quiet. One moment for one deceased person, we would have to stay quiet for 11 years. Shun the idea of perfection. Shun the idea of a perfect race, perfect ethnicity, perfect religion, perfect nation, perfect individual. Embrace your ups and downs, because when our heart beats go up and down, it means we are alive. The moment it goes linear in an ECG report, it would mean that we are dead. Embrace your flaws. like sun and moon, who, as I said, go through their eclipses. If they are not infallible, why should you be? My 39 years of life has been nothing short of a story encompassing many mistakes, many errors, many failures. When life dragged me down, I turned it into a beautiful valley bathed in hues of setting sun. When life popped me up, I turned it into a mountain rising, kissing the rising sun. Today, more than ever before, I know that like sun, neither my setting is permanent, nor my rise is eternal. It's okay to be imperfect. It only means I am perfect in my own story. Thank you.